Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Recipe with Dr. Stepheny Finnie. It is my hope that through each segment, you will receive ingredients to live your best life. One seasoning I'm personally passionate about is in the area of health and wellness. In fact, I host an Instagram Live on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time titled, Do You Know What's in Your Feminine Care? But I will speak more about this at the end of the show. Today's focus is on service. Ephesians 2 and 10 says, For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. And Matthew 20:27 and 29 says, But whosoever would be great among you must be your servant, and whoever must be first among you will be your servant, even as the Son of Man came to not be served, but to serve. And with that today, we have a special guest who is not only a talk show host, she is also an author, a blogger, a mother, and another very important fact, she is also a Chief Master Sergeant in the Air Force. And now, without further ado, I welcome to the recipe this multifaceted, talented, prolific, fabulous individual, Chief Master Sergeant Felisha Whitlow.
Hello.
Thank you for coming on board and welcome to the show.
Hey, how y'all doing? Hello. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. My pleasure. My pleasure.
All right. Now, I'm not 100% on facts, but isn't Chief Master Sergeant the highest rank for enlisted members in the Air Force?
Yes, ma'am. So Chief Master Sergeant in the Air Force is the top 1% of all the enlisted force. And so it's amazing, right? To sit here and say that I'm the top 1% in the Air Force. And it's not a lot of us. Actually, there's about, last time I checked, about 1,100, I think, roughly, chiefs serving on active duty right now. And then out of that, I think it was like 290-something females. And then out of that, it was roughly about 40-something African-American females.
Thank you. I was waiting for that number, so got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this is something else that I was told, and you can confirm. Aren't you the highest ranking on your base?
Okay, so at that time, I was. So
Okay.
over the summer, I was the only chief on the base. I was the highest ranking.
Okay.
Now, we've had about 5 more chiefs come in starting August timeframe. So now there's more. So it's not just me.
Okay.
Thank the Lord, because I was tired.
I can imagine.
But it was for a good bit. I was the only one. And you would think, like, oh, you're at the top of the food chain. What do you have to do? A lot, because you have a lot of airmen, a lot of even civilians that come to you and need you to handle certain things. So I was spread pretty thin, but I have no complaints because I love what I do.
Awesome. Well, what led you to this path to become, and we're going to talk about the author and the talk show host and the blogger, all of that. But I mean, I'm just so excited to know that I'm talking to a Chief Master Sergeant in the Air Force. So what led you to this path?
Okay, so let me tell you. Let me start at the beginning. Let me tell you a funny story.
Oh,
so
please.
I had no intentions of joining the Air Force at all. And I remember I was in high school, and my best friend at the time, Amy Thompson, her dream was to join the Air Force. And, I'm chilling in high school, no aspirations whatsoever. And so she was like, Felisha, why don't you just join the Air Force with me? And then we'll go through basic together and tech school together, and then we'll be at our first base together. So I was like, okay, sure, let's do it. Why not? I ain't got nothing else to do, right? And so I remember I told my mom, like, oh, Mom, me and Amy are going to join the Air Force. My mother was ecstatic. And so immediately the next day she takes me to the recruiter. And I was just like, okay, but I'm not going unless Amy is going. I still did all the paperwork and stuff, and took the test and everything. And, I was good to go. I'm like, okay, Amy, come on, we got to take this ASVAB. And, she was doing her part too. And in my mother's mind, she had that I was going to leave in May, which I did not, because what she didn't know at the time was I wasn't going to graduate on time, right? So, and I didn't tell her that until like the very end. And so, and so so anyway, because I'm still waiting for Amy, right? And so I tell my mom, look, it's not going to happen. I'm going to graduate in summer school. And I tell my recruiter, I don't want to go to basic until December. So December of 96, because I'm like, waiting for Amy, waiting for Amy. Long story short, Amy did not go. She ended up, I forgot what happened. I remember if she just never took the test, something happened. And so she wasn't able to join. Well, Felisha had already signed all the paperwork. And my mother was like, oh, you've got to go. So I'm stuck, right? So here I am, 24 years later, in the Air Force. And the funny thing is, like, I remember signing the paperwork. I was like, look, dude, I'm only doing 4 years. 4 years and I'm out because I got things to do. Like, I'm trying to be Oprah. Like, I don't have time for this. And then, I joined, go to my first base, and then, life happens. I ended up meeting my first husband and had my son. And so I was like, well, kids need medical and dental. So then you end up staying. And then when I got pregnant with my daughter, had my son. And then at that time, me and my husband had split. So then now it's like, whoa, I'm about to be a single parent of 2 kids. Well, life happens. You have to stay because guess what? You got to feed the kids. You have medical, you have dental, and you got to, you have to do what you have to do. But I'm going to backtrack a little bit because being a single parent, as long as I have in the military of multiple kids, is not by small feat. And so I remember before me and my first husband had got married, I was pregnant with my son. And I remember this guy, and he was telling me, like, look, this is not the place for you. You need to go. You need to go separate out the Air Force, go home to your parents, and just live life because the military is not a place for you as a female with kids. Like, it's not for you. And I would never forget that. Never. And I was sitting up there and I thought about it. And my first thought was, well, I ain't about to go home knocked up. Like, I ain't about to do all that, no, because I felt like I've left my mother's house. I'm off in this world. Like, both my parents raised me well. And to come back within a year, roughly pregnant, I just felt like that was defeat for me. So I was like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm just going to make it happen. So I was in Guam. If y'all don't know, Guam is this little island 5 hours on a plane ride away from Hawaii. So it was in the freaking ocean. And I had an assignment to Aviano, which was in Italy, right afterwards. So I canceled my Italy assignment and I put in to go to Charleston to be home to my family, which was the best thing I ever did because my dad was there and my mom was 3 hours away. And I was able to do what I need to do. And I feel like had I not done that, I probably wouldn't still be in. But that's the story of how I got tricked in the Air Force. And the story of how I stayed past the 4 years. It's funny because I was at lunch with an NCO on Sunday. And he asked me, he was like, you've been over 20 years. You're a chief. Why do you stay? And I was like, well, first of all, let me just say that a lot of us, when we're, young airmen and young NCOs, and we get mad, like we're mad at leadership, we're mad at this, or a supervisor has done us wrong, or maybe there's a process that's wrong. And we always say, oh, if I was in charge, I would do this. Or if I was in charge, I would do that. Well, guess what, homie? I'm in charge. So now that I'm in charge, I can put things in place to make things better for you, for the next generation that's coming forward. Why would I leave? If I leave, who's going to make these positive changes and who's representation? Because the more of us in these leadership positions, the more we need to see, whether you're female, Black, whatever your race is, you need to see a representation of you or somebody being themselves in leadership doing right by people. Why would I leave? And it doesn't make any sense to me. So, that's why I'm here as long as I am. And as long as the Air Force will keep me, I'll do my job.
Absolutely. Just want to say thank you to LaVon Lee, who is chiming in multiple times. I love Felisha Whitlow. And I know you know who that is.
Yes, I do.
It sounds like you are actually being the change that you want to see. And I find that awesome because in no matter what field, whether it's, Air Force or, any field, when you have someone in a supervisory position that's being that change, that you want to see, then that makes you want to emulate that as an employee. So
I try my best. And, I will tell you that it's hard because you have a lot of that old thinking. You have a lot of that go to a boy system mentality that, I've had to come up against. If I see somebody being done wrong, I'm like, no, we're not doing that. Like, let's have some common sense here and let's think about this. And I know sometimes I'm not the favorite person on the base, but then I don't care, because as long as I know that I'm doing the right thing accordance with this AFI and with God, and I can look in the mirror, then it's okay. And it blows my mind sometimes how people don't like change, especially when the change is for the better. They want things just how it is and whatever. And I'm like, that's not cool. That's not how we take care of people. It's not. So I am that person.
it's no such thing as coincidence that, well, two things. I'll backtrack. You said about your friend who didn't end up going in, and you did. I call that divine intervention. Yeah. Because it was meant for you to follow this path, and you had already signed the paperwork, couldn't back out. Look how things are now,
You're right.
And that's awesome.
I talked to her, I think it was like 5 years ago, and we had like this conversation, and I was like, Amy, you're supposed to be here with me. Like, what are we doing? And she was like, but it wasn't for me. Like, it was for you. Like, I was the catalyst to get you there, but it wasn't for me. And she's doing big things, and she's great. She's doing great. So, and again, you're right. It was divine intervention, because I sure wouldn't have went. I'd have been somewhere not right. Doing better things.
It worked out. God has a plan. He definitely has a plan. So yes, yeah, we thank him for that. So you mentioned, obviously being a Black female in your position. What type of, if you can say, what type of issues have you had? What type of discrimination have you dealt with along the path to get where you are right now?
See, that's the thing. People are smart, and, they're not going to be overt with it. You know what I mean? They're going to know how to say things or do things systematically, you know what I'm saying? So that, you won't catch it off the rip. I remember when I had my son, and at that time, they weighed you, like right when your baby hit 6 months, they put you on a scale and they weighed you, and you had to be under a certain weight. Now, mind you, Black girls, I'm muscle thick, so I'm never going to be under 135 pounds. That's just not going to happen. But my body fat has always been low. So I get on the scale. Of course, I'm over the poundage that they need me to be. So then all of a sudden, they're like, oh, you got to be on the called the Fat Boy program and blah, blah, blah. But little did I know I was pregnant with my daughter at the time. So backtrack. They were on me. We need you to weigh. We need you to weigh. Well, there was another young lady in my squadron whose baby was born around the same time as mine who needed to weigh too. They didn't weigh her. They didn't bother her. They didn't do anything. But you're on me. I was like, okay. There was another instance when I was supposed to go to a leadership school when I was at a certain base. And I, again, I'm muscle thick. So, they weigh you in to go to the school. And I was over by like 10 pounds, but I was under my body fat, right? But I couldn't go. But then you had this other young lady who was under her weight, but you know how muscle looks different than fat. So she was under her weight, but boy, she was fluffy, but it didn't matter because she was under her weight and she was able to go. So I was like, okay. But like you said, God has a plan, because I moved on to Germany, went to my leadership school there and had a blast, so I look at it like, oh, okay, well, it wasn't meant, right? I remember in 2004, I decided to go natural. And, I cut off all my hair. I did the big chop. And then I was growing my natural hair out. And, 2004 is not like now where everybody's all like pro-natural. Then it was completely different. So I did deal with some things. And it was like, oh, so are you going to fix that? And I was like, well, what's wrong with my hair? Like, well, I mean, are you going to walk around like that? And it's not just from non-African Americans. These were from a lot from our African American airmen, our leaders. And I was like, well, it's the natural hair that grows out of my head. Like, how is that wrong? Well, I'm just saying, like, I mean, it didn't look right. They didn't like it. It was like, oh, her hair. I don't know. And luckily, I had a senior NCO who was natural at the time, and her hair was in braids. And she was like, well, what? Like, what's wrong with it? What's wrong with her hair? And so, thankfully, she had my back in that, right? And then as time goes on, like wearing your hair in twist, it was like, what is that? Well, can't you straighten it? Can't you like wear it down? Little questions. I'm like, well, I don't want to. I want to wear it like this. Don't you wear your hair how it grows out your head? Well, let me be. Certain things. It was it's so many like little things that happens. Like you don't get certain opportunities because you don't fit the look, or you don't get recognized for certain things because we need to put you like over here, and then we'll push up this person right here. Say, or the favoritism, or I was told one time, you're just too black. Can you kind of tone that down? And then I was kind of like, well, how am I too black? I'm not understanding, because I'm me. And I remember I started thinking like, well, what does that mean? Because I was told I would not make chief being as I am, and I had to change everything. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Because if you're telling me I'm too loud, then I get it, right? I completely get it, because I am loud, right? So, okay, I can tone that down. Or, I would sit at my desk and listen to Beyonce all day. So it's like, okay, well, if you don't want me to do that, then, say that, but don't say I'm too black. Like, what is that? And that, really kind of like got to me. I had someone sit here and say, because you have the stereotype of the angry black female, which is unfortunate because they are out there, right? And so that's the unfortunate thing. So it's having to come across that stereotype a lot, because I'm not angry. I'm black, but I ain't angry. I ain't mean. I'm very nice and approachable and so forth. But when people see you, they automatically think, oh, they're very kind of standoffish at times until they get to know me. Then I had someone say, oh my gosh, you're not like the rest of them. I'm like, oh, really? Oh, you're just too nice. I'm like, am I? Huh? If you only know the words going up in here, you wouldn't say that at the moment. But it's funny because they think they're giving you a compliment. Yeah. And they just don't know. So you can't be mad. I mean, I was like, hey, oh, okay. It's so many different little things, that you just be like, really? So many little different things. I just be like, man, I'm to this day, I'm surprised I'm still sitting here as a chief, because I promise you there's been plenty of times I wanted to be like, to tell somebody where to go, how to get there quickly, and let me just go ahead and let this go and retire, because I was just tired. But the unfortunate piece, a lot of the issues that I kind of dealt with were from our own, and that makes it even worse.
Absolutely. It's funny that you mentioned the hair, because before COVID, I am still about the relaxer. I'm that person. I'm not even thinking about transitioning. And I've had people come to me and say, why don't you get rid of that relaxer? You put all those chemicals in your hair. You're ruining your hair. I'm like, my hair is healthy.
Yeah,
everybody's paying for something. Everybody's paying for something, and I'm choosing to pay for this. I like this. I don't want to do that. Maybe one day. I mean, and I've heard that by multiple people. So it's just funny. And like you said, it's not from. It's from those that are like you and those that look like you that are saying this.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing I didn't like talking about the whole natural hair movement. Like, yes, I went natural. Yes, I did all that. But I'm not going to sit here and go, ooh, Dr. Finnie, now you need to cut that perm. Like, why? Why do we create a divide? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. If you choose to be relaxed, I choose to be natural. Who's to say? You may see me in 5 years and see these locks cut off. My hair is relaxed and straight. It's just, I mean, I just thought you should do you. And why do we do this as Black people? Why do we have to create divides all the time? It doesn't make any sense. Just like Outkast said, what did he say? Not everybody with a perm is for the fall. Not everybody with locks is for the cause.
Yes,
You
yes.
know, but it's the truth. Like, don't do that. Like, don't do that. Like, stop. You know. Okay, I'm off my rant. But that just
No.
really like, why do we do that? Why do we create divides like that? It blows my mind. It's not necessary. It's not.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a quick break and
Hmm.
then we'll be right back. So everybody hold tight.
Hey, it's your girl Lisa Dene, and I want to tell you about a product that has changed my life. Rain Premium Sanitary Napkins. Rain products are infused with a Nobel Prize-winning material called graphene. It's the graphene strip that provides the various health benefits that can improve your quality of life during that time of the month. Listen, I've been very loyal to a certain brand of feminine products, but I've never experienced the results I get with Rain products. The difference is in the graphene strip. Using Rain products has totally eliminated the painful cramps I experience, and it can also help balance your body's pH, eliminate harmful bacteria, and help fight fatigue. Graphene moves heat away from your core to keep you cool and comfortable. Ladies, it's time to upgrade your feminine care with products that not only offer protection, but also improve your health and wellness. Place your order today and receive your premium sanitary napkins delivered directly to your door. Visit www.drfcare.com to make your purchase today. And don't forget to mention that your girl Lisa Dene and Stunner Radio sent you.
All right, everybody, welcome back. I have a phenomenal individual with us today. I have a author, a blogger, a mother, a talk show host, and Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Felisha Whitlow. So welcome back, everybody. All right, I have a question for you in that in the scheme of being a Chief Master Sergeant and a mother and just everything that comes with that, how are you able to do a blog and become an author and be a talk show host? How?
Well, well, you know what? I follow my passions. You know, at the end of the day, yes, I'm a Chief Master Sergeant, but one day I'm going to take this uniform off. So who is Felisha? You know, and this is who Felisha is. You know, I've wanted to be a writer ever since I think I was 2 years old, you know, and that's always been a passion of mine. I will write when I'm bored, or I will think of stuff and start writing stuff down and collect everything. I love to cook. Cooking is a passion. I love food. Oh my God, I love food. So I will sit there and I will go to a restaurant. I'd be like, oh, I can make this at home. We don't need to go here no more. And then I will sit there and find the recipe and create it. And I'm like, yes, you know, here we are. And then also I love to read. Reading is, it's like an escape into a whole world that you paint your own characters and your own colors in your own mind and make it to what you want it to be. And so I'm going to hit on reading real quick, because reading, like, you know, it's gonna sound crazy. Reading is fundamental, right? It's the basis of all education. But when someone who reads constantly, no matter what it is, you have the way your thought process is better, the way you comprehend is better, your vernacular is bigger. You know how to use different words, and you sound more educated, right? And then there's a lot of education and there's a lot of knowledge that are in the books that are not in these videos. They're not in the movies. If you want the facts, if you want the truth, read a book. Like I tell my airmen, if you want to be ahead of your peers, if you want to be at a different level, you need to read. Pull out some books and sit there and read those books, because you're losing a vast amount of knowledge in those books. If you're sitting up here just trying to watch a 5-minute video on YouTube, the crap doesn't work. Or sit there and go, oh, I'm going to learn about Harriet Tubman. I'm going to watch her movie. Now, we all know that was Hollywood. I mean, I didn't watch it, to be honest, because I was on strike. But I mean, did you read the book? Read books. And that's where you get the true story from, not a Hollywoodized movie. And so I started my book club because I'm like, look, I love to read and I love to talk about what I read. So I'll sit here and I'll read a book on self-improvement or something that's going to make me a better person. And I'll sit there and I will apply the little things I've learned throughout the book to help me. So why not try to help others and do the same thing? So that's why I started, you know, the Whitlow's book club. And so I'm like, we're going to do Whitlow's book club, and I'm just going to start it. And I don't care what people say. And then I would sit there and I would read a part, like let's say chapters 1 through 5. And every Sunday I would post a video of me discussing the things of what I took away from it. And I was very honest if the book was boring, because I did read a book that I was like, oh my God, it's like reading paint drying. We will never read this book again, guys. But we got to finish it because it's the book of the month, and try to glean whatever positivity I can get from it. This year, I started having special guests on the show with me to read the book with me. And it's actually worked very well. And it's helped both of us, because I may get something different from what you got. And for us to sit there and discuss and take in that knowledge, and for others to watch and go, you know, I never thought about that. Or I've always wanted to read that book. Oh, I may want to read it on my own, you know, just to be better, and that self-improvement. And again, reading does so much for you. It just does so much for you. And so I read more than I watch TV. I feel so bad because I haven't watched Bridgerton. Like, I don't watch none of that stuff. I'm usually reading a book or writing something down, you know, or if the TV is on, it's something that my kids are watching. I'm not even paying it no attention. I'm like, oh, what happened? And they get mad. Oh, I'm sorry. Was I supposed to watch that? I'm reading. Rewind it again. And so, you know, and I started cooking with Fee, and that's posted every Saturday. It's because, one, I love to cook. But have you noticed with this, you know, recent times that nobody cooks? Nobody cooks. Like, nobody like shares recipes, or like, oh girl, I made this, for example, you know, Levon loves my fried chicken. I made this fried chicken and I threw this in there, and it was good. Like, nobody has pride and passion in our food like our grandmothers used to do. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, no, we're about to bring that back.
I have to make a point, because if Levon is watching this and she's laughing, I don't know how to fry fried chicken. I'm horrible. And I fried chicken for her one time, and I was like, it was so terrible. I was like, never again. So I go to the Colonel.
Oh,
I know she's laughing if she's watching this. It's true. But I love to cook. I actually have a cooking class that I do on IG, because I met someone who had these sauces, a Black female. I plan to bring her onto the show because I want people to see us. I want to tell our stories, and I want us to tell our stories the way we want it told. Because if you don't, then somebody else might tell it, or they might not, or if they tell it, they might tell it the wrong way. So I want to bring her on, and she has this fabulous line of sauces. And, you know, when the pandemic hit, you know, I was like, I should get these sauces, because my husband is the cook. I used to cook well, but we kind of swapped roles. Like, when I started having children, I was like, okay, you're not gonna get up through the night. Okay, well, you're gonna do the cooking, because I'm gonna be tired. So that's how we made it work. But as the kids got on up older, I just continued to not cook. And he's like he's so good. He's so good. And so, you know, I was like, well, the pandemic has hit, and, you know, we're not going out nearly as much as we used to. We didn't go out all that much, but even then it's like cut out completely. And I said, well, I can't have him doing all the cooking. But, you know, when your children are like, okay, so are you going to cook, or is daddy going to cook? I was like, oh, that's so sad. I got to, you know, your kids would, you know, they'll tell you.
Tell the truth. And don't
and I was like, oh, no. And, or be like, taste it like, oh, that was good, Mama.
I know. I'd be like, did you disrespect me? Like, I'm like, eat that or nothing. Starve. You ain't getting nothing else.
Oh. So anyway, I got into these sauces. I fell in love with them. And so I talked to her and I said, you know, I'm using your sauces, and, you know, maybe, you know, we could do a cooking class. She was like, absolutely. And I said, you could just teach, you know, recipes, and I'll do the cooking with your sauces. And so, I mean, it's like every Monday, between 6 and 9 p.m. we do a class. It's usually 30 minutes, because that's how quick everything is. It's real quick meals. I mean, her salmon sauce, oh my God, phenomenal. I'm getting hungry just now thinking about it. We've done so many dishes: barbecue jerk chicken, barbecue jerk shrimp. I'm like, oh, this is so good. And my family is like, oh, these are good dishes, because as soon as the show ends, I finished it off for them, and then they eat it. So they are the experiment, and they're like, oh, this is really good. So I'm getting my confidence back, getting my swag back in the kitchen.
Good. Because I just be like my daughter is 21, and I'm just like, well, why don't you cook this or that? She's like, what? No, I'm just going to go here. And when I hear all her friends talk, like that whole, you know, 20 something group, They just don't do it. They rather go to Chick-fil-A or, McDonald's or whatever that they go to and order something and that's good. They do not cook. Or ramen noodles in the microwave, which I'm like, who cooks ramen noodles in the microwave? But that's, and yes, and I be watching my kids like, why don't you just make a sandwich? Or look, why don't you do this? And they be like, and they go over there and make these noodles. And I'm like, oh, but guess what? When I come home from work, they be like, oh, mom, what you cooking today? And I said, okay, because I always cook every night. And but yesterday I was like, well, we're being healthy for the month of March. So I made this bomb grilled chicken salad. Oh my God. They didn't even eat. They was like, oh, we'll just eat leftovers. We don't want no salad. I was like, oh, that's fine by me. More for me, but they just blew my mind. But it's funny how if I say I'm not cooking at all, you're not gonna cook. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Just because you spoiled them.
I have, and I love to bake. Love it, and I love to try.
I love to bake. Yes. I'm a baker. I haven't been a cooker, but I'm a baker. Right. I have a peach brandy pound cake that will knock your socks off. Yes.
Oh, I'm gonna have to try that. So again, like I just think that the art of cooking and the joy of cooking is gone. And cooking in the kitchen, like with your sisters or your cousins or your friends, it's such a bondness that I'm like, I'm just not really seeing it unless I go and visit my family, when I go to Fort Worth or something, then we're in the kitchen talking and cooking and whatever. But just to see that vibe, and not everybody gets that. And not every woman knows how to cook. And not every woman was taught. Like some girls I know who didn't know, they were like, well, my mom never pulled me in the kitchen, or my mom doesn't cook. So, this is just what we did. So I'm like, no, I'm going to start. And I start showing stuff that I'm cooking and how I prepare it. Or sometimes I'll just say what the recipe is, because it's a lot easier. And just to share that, like it's not hard. And it's better for you, as a matter of fact, because I really don't like processed foods. And so I try to say, like, no, once you learn how to make your own sauces, like your girl, it's like you'll be opened up to a big world, like, oh, wow, and how you can do it yourself. So my goal is just to show you that you can just make these dishes yourself. It's not hard. You don't have to be Julia Childs or Sunny Anderson. You can do this. An everyday woman can come home from work and throw this meal together in 30, 40 minutes and be good. And then make the kids clean the kitchen.
yes. I love it.
Because you done worked out and you cooked. I ain't cleaning up nothing. You do it.
And with the pandemic now, because I work from home on a full-time basis, so it's like I do more cleaning now. And it's like, with my kids, especially, my daughter, she is 14 and she has so much homework. And I'm like, just get the homework done. So I'm doing the cooking and the cleaning. And I'm like, I'm getting to the point, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna need for you to start cleaning up on the weekends or something. You know? Because I'm putting in overtime. And it seems like you do more work when you work from home, and then you do more work in the house when you work from home. Because I catch myself throwing stuff in the laundry and then get back to work real quick and then take something out, make sure, so you're just doing all these extra things that I wouldn't do if I was going into the office.
Exactly.
So my children are reaping the benefits. But, all that being said, it has been nice to have them home. I feel like God has given us some time back that we missed with them previously. So I'm enjoying that time.
Yes. So here, like the kids just went back to school. I think right after the winter break, they went back, and I'm glad that because I have a 13-year-old, I'm glad that she's back in school because she's a very social kid and she likes all that kind of stuff. But I did enjoy having her home. Now, I haven't had the luxury of staying home all day. I've been having to go to work every day, but I got spoiled by her being home. Like I would come home for lunch, or I would worry about picking her up from whatever basketball, whatever she's got going on, or having to wake up earlier to take her to school. Like I gotten so lazy. So the first day she had to go back, like on the 5th of Jan, I forgot she had to go to school. So I'm in the living room working out, and I'm like, well, why you dressed? What you doing? She's like, Mom, I have to go to school. I'm like, oh, you do? I'm like, oh, you're going to be late today, hun. Like, I'm just.
Wow.
And I know we talked about my blog.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you why I started the blog. And I don't really like to call it a blog. I call it my own magaline, right? So I love magazines. I'm such a magazine nerd. However, what I've noticed in that is that for our age group and for us, where are the magazines? Now let me some Essence. The Essence don't be hitting the spot for me. I don't know any other magazines for ethnic women. So school me if there's some out there. But for what I'm looking for, it's just not there. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna create my own stuff, because one of my sayings is create your own opportunities. It's not there. So on my blog, I, say little comments or little thoughts that I have going on, but I like to highlight different products that I like to use that have helped me. I've had a lot of women ask, like, well, what moisturizer or makeup, or what do you do in your hair? So I put out there like my products that I use, and it's actually helped. Like, I posted the Kiehl's moisturizer in January, and someone had hit me up and was like, oh, I'm going to use that because I was looking for a moisturizer to wear under my makeup. So that let me know I helped one person, and I also put different workouts out there, to do like for the month that will help with the core or your thighs or something like that, because, I'm 43 years old. And the fact that I'm 43, what a 23-year-old person is not comparable to me. Like, we're not the same. We don't need the same moisturizer. We don't need the same makeup. We don't have the same hair products. Like no, so I wanted a platform for women like us who want fashion tips and beauty tips and finance tips and just all that life kind of stuff. But it's, for us, by us kind of thing. Because like I had told this one girl who's like 25, I said, we are not the same. I'm not going to dress the same as you. Like, that's just not going to happen. I want to be, modern, and relevant. But what you wear, boo-boo, is not what I will wear. I said, so we're not the same. And so I just put out there different outfits I put together, and just to share that part. So it's my own little mag line is what I'll say, to help others who are like myself.
I love that. I do have a magazine I want to recommend. It is called Resilient by Tia Acker, and that's T-E-I-A Acker, A-C-K-E-R. And I'm going to forward her edition this month. And I mean, she highlights. It's only a electronic magazine, so you download it, and it's beautiful pictures of us, and we have our products. And so when you talked about it's by us, for us, that's what this magazine is all about. It's awesome. So I will send that to you and let you check it out and let me know what you think.
I would love to, because I have been like really looking. I'll go to Barnes and Noble and look at all their magazines and see what they have out there, and I'm like, there's no one that's like me, because I know when I hit 40, like, my skin was breaking out, and I was like, man, what do I need to do? And I would look at all things, and everything I saw was somebody who was under 27. I'm like, no, I'm 40. I have a lot going on here. Like, I need something that's going to pertain to me. And then, but you're right in that perfect cusp, because you're not necessarily mature. You're not, 65 and older. Your skin's not there yet, but you're not necessarily like that young thing over there either. You're right in the middle, where you're still vibrant and sexy and hot, but that you ain't gonna be dressing like 19-year-olds, or needing products like they do. So just to find that right thing, like right there. So that's why I did it. And I updated every month on the 1st, and I have fresh stuff out there, new hair products, I do etiquette tips on there as well, because I love etiquette. And I think that's another dying art that we just don't do, and kids don't know. There's a proper way to come into a room. There's a proper way to greet someone. There's a proper way that you eat. And so every month I'll post like an etiquette tip for the month, to, how you dress, how you present yourself, how you're perceived. I do understand it's the generation of you can wear a hoodie and people shouldn't judge you, but let's be real. I mean, you judge a book by its cover, and how you present yourself is 100%. And I'm almost done with my rant. I cannot stand face tattoos. And so I'm like, why? Unless you're going to be a rapper. I mean, you're out there rapping, making millions, do you, boo? But if you're not quite there yet, like, just, I like tattoos, so do you, but not the face and the hands. That's all I'm saying, not the face and the hands, because you limit yourself. Okay, I'm done.
Absolutely. No. I'm glad that you said etiquette, and you talked about how to eat, because I do think that, people don't, a lot of young individuals, younger, do not understand that, this is the salad fork and this is the, all of the settings and how that works. Yes. And it's good to know that it doesn't have to do with being, I don't know, whatever. It's nothing wrong. It's not about being bougie. It's about knowing how to talk to other people. If you have to go to a business event that happens to be a dinner, you can network at the table like the rest of them because you know table etiquette, and it's not a problem.
You know how to present yourself. And that's, you have to think about it, because a lot of these, I say middle to upper class, non-minority kids, they get that stuff. And so people wonder, like, well, why are they like a leg up? Because they get these things that, our kids are not getting, or, some of our kids are getting them, but not all of them, not the mass. So it's like they're kind of not really set up for failure, but set up without the correct tools to be able to present themselves. So when they're going into the bank, trying to get a bank loan for a business they want to start, if you come in like, I'm saying, no, you gotta come better. You gotta have the button down shirt. You gotta have not jeans on. You gotta know how to sit, how to do whatever. And they'll go, oh, okay. They're more likely to give you that business loan because you came in there correct. But a lot of them just don't know. And so I'm all about educating and teaching and showing you, well, this is the way, and not assume that you know, because a lot of them just don't know. So we got to help.
Absolutely. We definitely need to do that. We're going to take a quick break, everybody, and then we will be back with Chief Master Sergeant Felisha Whitlow.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your girl, comedian actress Coca Brown. And I got to give a huge shout out to my girl, Dr. Stepheny Finnie, because she put me on. What? To the Jewel Sanitary napkin. These babies are amazing. Not only are they good to me, they're good for me. Not only do they help with absorption, moisture control, and protection, because yes, sometimes I like to wear white, but these babies also have a great ingredient called graphene that helps with cramps. Huh? Are you kidding me? So you're telling me that I'm protected and I can control my moods a little bit? I love it. So please make sure you hit up my girl, Dr. Stepheny Finnie. They have a variety of sizes for every kind of flow, whether it's heavy, light, overnight, she got you. So make sure you hit up my girl, Dr. Stepheny Finnie, and get you some Jewel Sanitary napkins today. I strongly endorse these, honey, especially if you're like me and need all the help you can get for that time of the month. All right?
Okay, everybody, welcome back. To Chief Master Sergeant Felisha Whitlow with us today. For those of you that have already been listening, she is also a blogger and a mother and a author and a talk show host, to name a few other things. And I just find it so exciting that, she does all of these things, as well as being a Chief Master Sergeant in the Air Force, which is it's the highest rank among enlisted members in the Air Force, in case you don't know. That was new to me. And, she's one of ours, so we need to embrace that. I do have a few other questions for you.
Yes, ma'am.
One is, how do you, let me ask you this really. What do you wish you had known when you first started out in the Air Force? Is there something that, you wished you had known that, I don't know, could have done things? I'm not saying you would have done things differently, but is there one thing you wish you had known when you started out?
I wish I had known right off the rip not to take anything personal. It's kind of hard when you're new and you're insecure because you're new, you just left your mom's house and you just really don't know. And when something is being done, it's not personal. Like, you can't take everything personal and be mad and upset and whatnot. I wish I had known to look at things with a different eye and know what the bigger picture is. And then there are some times when you're dealing with difficult people that I wish I had known it's not about me, it's about them, what they got going on, whatever is going on in their head. And so not to internalize other people's stuff or other people's negativity. If I had known that at 18 years old, I probably would have made Chief 5 years earlier. But, we're human. And so when people do certain things, it's like, you're like, what? Who are you talking to? And then it goes. But instead, I wish I had that emotional intelligence at 19 to go, okay, what's going on? What's going on beneath the surface here of why this person is acting out? Because I know I didn't do anything. And to be able to talk to them objectively and clearly and not being so quick to want to tell them where to go and how to get there. If I had that skill at 19, I think that would be something I wish I had known right off the rip. And the second thing is everything doesn't garner an action, right? I mean, I'm sorry, a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Every action doesn't garner a reaction. So just because somebody does something to you does not mean that you have to react with a comment, an action back to them. Like, you just don't have to do it, because we all know there are people in this world who will throw a rock and hide their hand, so to speak. And when you react to that, all of a sudden you're the bad guy. You're the crazy person, or I don't know what's wrong with her. I didn't do nothing to her. So learning that not everything constitutes a reaction. Let this person throw a rock, and if it didn't hit you, you can go, oh, look at that, and just keep going, and not be so quick to want to tell somebody what to do and how to get there. And those are the two things I believe I wish I had known. And I laugh because when I was this was 2010, and this master sergeant was doing things to me that I felt was uncalled for, and to other people. And she sent an email that I did not like. And instead of taking a step and pausing and thinking, no, I immediately reacted and basically told her where to go, how to get there, and how she was a horrible leader. And I just went in. Mind you, this woman outranked me, right? So after I felt awesome by giving her gave her the business. And then, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm good. I'm all on my high. Mind you, I'm an E6. She was an E7. And then it was like the very next day, because I worked in an office that was highly coveted. Like the shiny pennies worked in that office. So the very next day, I was immediately removed from that office, and I was thrown to this office that nobody wanted to work at. And it was just horrible to be, quote unquote, fired and having to go back in that same building and not be in that highly coveted position I was in before, and being treated and thrown a certain way. But can I be mad? Because kind of brought it on myself. You know what I'm saying? Had I took a minute and stepped back and was calm and actually thought about, okay, now where did all this come from? Because I didn't do nothing, kind of thing. And knowing how people are and knowing who deserves a reaction, who doesn't, then I wouldn't have had all that happen to me. But I look at it as a blessing, because had that not have happened, I would have not have learned the lesson.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The lesson was learned. Are there any resources that have really helped you on this? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Silence is golden.
Yes. Yes.
There are times where silence really is golden.
Exactly. Even now, at the rank I'm now, I still be like, oh.
Okay. One more question. Are there any resources that have really helped you on your journey?
My Bible has really helped me. I've read Psalms 23. I know it by heart. Psalms 91. The Lord's Prayer I've said. I remember certain times, and I would pray and go, you know what? The Lord didn't bring me this far to drop me. The Lord didn't bring me this far to drop me. And saying that to myself over and over again has got me through plenty of situations. So that's my number one resource right there. Everybody, read your Bible and pray. And you will get such an inner strength and such a confidence from that. It's just amazing. The second thing is my family. I feel like if it wasn't for the love and support of my family, I would not be here. There's times that I'm not around, deployments, working long hours, not seeing certain family members because I'm trying to attain that next rank, and grateful that my family is loving and resilient. And so when I am back, they're like, oh, Poochie's back. We're glad to have her back. And they don't come at me with the resentment, because there are a lot of people who, go hard for these ranks. And when they come back, their family isn't there. So I'm extremely grateful to have that resilient family as a resource. And then I will say, I read this book. It's called The Four Agreements by Miguel Ruiz. And that book has really changed me. Just different things. And, being impeccable with your words. So being, have thoughts of what you say. And we're all human. And sometimes we'll say things not trying to be mean or not realizing what we're saying. And so it kind of teaches us, like, be impeccable with your word, be careful what you say, kind of thing. And that's also where I got from. It's not about you, like when people do things, it's not necessarily what you did. It's a reflection off of them. Don't internalize their stuff. And that book I read it maybe about 4 years ago, and I reread it every once in a while. And it really made me look at things differently. It really did.
What is the name of that book again, please?
The 4 Agreements by Miguel Ruiz. I'll pull it up. And it's such a powerful book.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Don Miguel Ruiz.
Okay, Don Miguel. Mm-hmm. Got it.
And my journal.
Get that on it. Oh, absolutely.
Resource for me. I will sit there and journal. Like if I'm upset about something and I need to vent, because I feel like as humans, we all need to vent. We love people. Like when I was married the second time, which the one I count, right? When I was married the second time, and my husband would make me angry, and I would go and vent to my friends. He done made me mad. Can you believe it? He didn't put fabric softener in the washing machine. You're just venting, but you love that person. You're just venting, right? But sometimes people would take that vent like, oh, they were talking about me and this and that. And I'm like, I wasn't affecting your character. I just said you didn't put fabric softener in the washing machine because I was mad, But I use my journal to sit there and just write all those thoughts out. I'll get mad at my kids. They didn't clean the kitchen right. How you not clean the kitchen right? I showed you 5 different times. But to get all that emotion out in my book, and then that way I'm able to talk to them or anybody in an objective way without the emotion. So that way I'm not hurting anyone's feelings or saying the wrong thing. Maybe they're having a bad day and I just say one thing, you ain't do the dishes right. And they take it as complete wrong, which is not the intent at all either. So those are the resources I will say that's really helped me, and great mentors. You heard me say earlier how a lot of our own can negatively affect us, but a lot of our own can positively affect us. And I can name a few mentors, African-American female mentors, that if it wasn't for them, I would not be here. But not just them. I've had mentors that are non-minority that if it wasn't for them, I would not be here. So it takes a village, a whole tribe, 2 tribes.
Absolutely. And I have one last question for you.
Uh-huh.
What advice would you give to someone wanting to not just enter the Air Force, but looking to achieve this type of rank to include Chief Master Sergeant?
I think the Air Force is a great institution. So if anybody wants to join, I'm like, do it. Even if you don't want to do the full 20 years, it gives you such an awesome platform to prepare yourself for the civilian world. Like you have 4 to 6 years of money saved, of a skill learned, certifications behind it. If you work hard, you get your degree done in those 46 years. And also you walk away with your Montgomery GI Bill, which is another huge asset that you'll just go to school for free and they pay for your rent or mortgage while you're going to school. So when you come into the military, right, and you want to be a chief, the first thing I will tell you is to take care of your people. I know when you come in and you'll have just peers, you're a young E1, E2, E3, and just make sure that you check all the boxes, you do what you have to do, you volunteer, you do a good job at work, but everything is not about attaining rank. You need to take care of your people. And you take care of your peers, you take care of your wingman. A wingman is a term that we use for like our bestie, our road dog, our ride or die. When you go, I go. When you see me, I see you, kind of thing. You take care of them, take care of your peers, help others, and the rank will come. The rank will come. Because you want the rank to come and you want to be respected when you have the rank. And that's the key, because there are a lot of people who have rank and they're not respected at all, and you don't want to be that person. So long as you do your job, you read, you pass all your tests that you have to take, and make sure you stay humble and you take care of your peers. And as you go up, you take care of your airmen. You'll be fine. Be genuine. Be a genuine leader, and you'll be good to go. You will get there quicker than you know it.
Awesome. Awesome. Wow. Well, thank you again for taking time out of your schedule to season us with the ingredient of service, Chief Master Sergeant Felisha Whitlow. Before I go, if you are on Instagram, please connect to my IG Live at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as I top off the night with a final serving of health and wellness in the area of feminine healthcare. And for any men out there, please do not shy away from that topic, because if you have important women in your life, you also need to know about this important information. Well, that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this segment. See you next time on The Recipe as I bring you all of the ingredients for living your best life. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And the packaging, it says Jewel on it. And she sent me so many different, it's for moderate flow, heavy flow. Hold on. And this was my favorite.
That is my favorite. That is my favorite.
I can always appreciate an overnight, but what I was really impressed by was the length, how long it was.
And how it's not as thick.
If you guys still get those monthly friends, sometimes that thing could just be out of control and never do what you asked it to do. It'd be all over the place. But honestly, I had absolutely no problems at all. And I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate this product so good, because a lot of people, they want to send you stuff, and it's like, okay, you want to believe in everybody, but everybody's product is not a good product, especially something when it comes to feminine hygiene and sanitary this and you got to be very careful, because sometimes, whatever the stuff is made with, it don't always agree with your body chemistry. But I had absolutely no problems, and I wouldn't even say this if I didn't mean it. I gave the girls in my podcast, they use it. My podcast member, she don't even use sanitary napkins. She's like a tampon girl. Mm-hmm. But she really appreciated this, and I thought, I have to tell you this. I couldn't wait to get on here to tell you this. So for everybody that's on here that's still going through them, getting those monthly visitors, please support Dr. Finnie's business. I tried it myself, and I loved it.
Wow.
Thank you.